Series of breaking news has entered into newsroom. Let me begin from NATO respond. The UK Foreign Secretary has warned that NATO will confront Russian aircraft entering alliance airspace, saying such incursion risk leading to an armed clash. This is so powerful. And NATO member Estonia presented radar evidence accusing Russia of violating its airspace. Poland and other allies have echoed serious concerns. Ladies and gentlemen, from hot seat, I am giving you the hot news right this moment. Let me welcome all of you to today's International Affairs special edition broadcasting from SATV's Dhaka studio. My name is Rashid Kanchan. I will be your host. I have a very distinguished personality at the studio. Ali Ahmed, former member customs, very learned gentleman, and he is good at international affairs. I have from Washington, we have Norman Floyd Barnes, our geopolitical correspondent based in Washington DC, and we have another very distinguished learned professor, Scott A. Leckman. He is joining us from Salt Lake City, Utah, United States of America. I do humbly welcome both of you from distance. First, let me begin from Norman. Norman, you know, Washington is the world's capital. Most of the diplomatic decisions comes from Washington, drives from Washington, redirects from Washington. What are the latest you have? Would you please put on the table?
Good morning, everyone. From Washington. Today, the biggest, actually, the conversation is about the United Nations Assembly meeting, which is supposed to kick off this morning. President Trump has called for a special meeting, a closed-door meeting with members of the Middle East to discuss how to reconstruct Gaza after this after they come to a ceasefire or a conclusion to this conflict going on. The nations include Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and a couple other countries in there in that region. And the goal is basically how they're going to put troops. The president wants to put troops from the region in the country, in Gaza, as part of the reconstruction process. How this is going to work, how it's going to be, figure out is going to be talked about today in New York, part of the General Assembly session that goes on. Yesterday, a couple of countries came out and stated they want to recognize Palestine state. France is stating that they want to recognize it. The British, and right now, largely the most of the world is basically talking about exactly how they want to recognize symbolically the Palestinian state. So we have that, and we have a couple other things going on. We're talking about, you know, the big thing is Jimmy Kimmel's show that was canceled is back on TV
Mr.
tonight.
Mr. Norman,
So
we'll definitely pick one after another, but I need to go to Salt Lake, Utah, United States, where a very distinguished professor, Scott A. Leckman, is there. He is extremely capable to give this question, because this question has a NATO relevance. We usually see that NATO has a president, NATO has a spokesperson, but United States presidents always talk for NATO, or Vice President Evans talk, or US Secretary Marco Rubio talks. But this time, and it is the first time, we have seen that the UK Foreign Secretary has responded on behalf of NATO that there will be consequences if Russia violates the airspace of the NATO member countries. Already 3 incidents took place, one in Poland, one in Estonia, and probably another one is another country, Finland, but Finland did not respond. My question to Scott Leckman, sir, would you mind to tell us why suddenly UK Foreign Secretary is responding on behalf of NATO? Is this because United States President is recently ignoring the NATO interests, sir?
Well, Russia is acting like a teenager, trying to figure out what it can get away with. And so it is flying drones over NATO territory to see how NATO's going to respond. And again, the President Trump has resisted up to this time on putting any further sanctions on Russia. The European Union is interested, at least the leadership is, and so I think that's all in order.
All right, sir. All right, sir. Let me come to Ali Ahmed, my very favorite. Sir, you have heard from Norman and you have heard from Scott Leckman. And I raised a question, why this time suddenly United Kingdom's Secretary of Foreign Affairs or State Secretary is responding on behalf of NATO. Is this because of Donald Trump's recent defocus on NATO issue, or he's upset?
Well, it may be just coincidental, but there might also be a reason behind it. The Secretary General of the NATO, a former Prime Minister of the Netherlands, is a very close friend of Donald Trump, and they would be very pally together in their own White House. But this time, it was marked that he is not given much importance, at least for this, because in my view, Donald Trump might be trying to avoid this as much as he can. But then the Britishers have also interests, because they already have sent 3 fighter planes there and they mean business. So they have said, if another incursion from the Russian planes or Air Force happens, their fighters there will be shooting it down if it is there. So the things are going to be very serious. Therefore, the state, the foreign secretary, that means the government of Britain, on behalf that the foreign secretary spoke, she said it mean business that if there is it, we will shoot. So this is a forewarning before shooting down possible Russian incursion, the planes involved in it. That is why they might be giving importance this way. But as I said, this might also be just coincidental. We don't know.
Right, sir. Sir, let us go to the Trump and US politics. Trump has said something became very controversial among the US citizens. He said, Trump calling Charlie Kirk a martyr has stirred controversy. Is this rhetoric fueling polarization? I want to put this question to Sark Scott Leckman, because the incident of killing Charlie took place in your city, in your states, and you know the information. Why Trump has said something like that? Is this rhetoric fueling polarization, sir?
Well, at the memorial service for Charlie Kirk, normally after a national tragedy, presidents try to bring the country together. And, you know, for example, Bill Clinton, his speech after the Oklahoma City bombing, and Barack Obama, his speech at a African American church in South Carolina after several congregants were massacred, and he sang Amazing Grace. I mean, these are things that normal presidents do in the face of a national tragedy. President Trump um, plowed new ground the other day, and he seems to have no interest in being the president for all Americans. And he owns in on his 40%, and they love it.
Sir Scott Lakeman, I really appreciate your very short but very constructive, informative, and decisive response. I want to do a tough question to Mr. Norman. I know Norman since many years. Norman is a professional journalist, negotiator, and he's a diplomat as well. Norman, my question is, how might this speech by the Donald Trump on Charlie's memorial program shape the upcoming US elections? Because this morning I have gone through Wall Street Journal, Fox News, CNN, Washington Post, and New York Times. I found huge reactions from the American politicians, businessmen, corporate houses, and also civil people. What you gonna say, Mr. Norman?
First thing, President Trump is not a normal president. He's going to show, he's shown in the past, he's going to show in the present, and he's going to continue. He's going to be very consistent. He's not normal. Anything he does and everything he's done is basically is to stir up the, I guess and to agitate, to stir up and to agitate. He has basically professed that he is not, as he spoke at the memorial service, he's not going to forgive the people, the left wing he's going after. He just designated the group, the domestic terrorist group he's called Antifa. Antifa is a loosely ran left wing group. He has put them on the list as a domestic terrorist. This is actually illegal. There's no legal authority to do this, but basically what he's saying, he's going after the people with the left wing, and he think they are responsible or they are behind or they're supportive for what happened to the gentleman Kirk. What happened to him? So he's basically looking to agitate and to be more aggressive and utilizing United States resources and the people to basically start a war with the left wing and to basically get this done before the election start. And the issue is that his approval rating has gone down again. His overall approval rating has decreased. There's been a recent poll that came out showing that it has dipped since we last spoke in April. September numbers are lower, and he is basically being disapproved on all matters except for crime fighting, including the war between Israel, the war with Ukraine. All these numbers has gone down, including immigration. So he is not the typical president, and he is basically aggressively seeking to mitigate anyone who opposes him.
He is an attention seeker. He is trying to seek the attention of the world leaders and world medias. I have asked you the question regarding the internal politics of United States, internal reaction. But as I have Ali Ahmed, very senior professional and an academician as well, I want to do a question which will give an answer regarding the global affairs. So does America's internal political divide by the President Donald Trump weaken its global leadership? Because we have seen President Trump's failure in Alaska summit. We have seen dealing Russia-Ukraine. We have seen he has lost Middle East.
Well, his policies, of course, yes, his policies from the very beginning in his first term we have seen, and now we see this is not a modern president. He may be a conservative, a Democrat or a Republican, doesn't matter, but the way he articulates his views, speaks it in the public or in the global arena that sometimes become really ludicrous. And people do, because he is the American president, so people do not laugh it out loud. That is the one thing. Or he might order bombing, I don't know. So the thing is, he takes, as he said, I won't go as far as saying that he is not normal, but probably it's true. He has an agenda also. He knows this area where his supporter, this young gentleman, Charlie Kirk, he was, I should say now he is dead, but anyway, we do not support killing anybody, whoever it is. So that has been a wrong thing to do, whoever has done it, that 22-year-old boy. But then he was, it seemed to me, the way he spoke in different big gatherings was in a 17th century religious revivalist, talking of the Bible, Jesus Christ, Mary, and all those faiths. There are people, and there will always be people who would be bound to religious feelings like this, but he believes literally, at least he makes people to believe that he believes in it. And in the South especially, and in the area he comes from, the general people seem to be hooked to it. So he would draw large crowds, and he was a personal friend, a college dropout, please remember, he was a college dropout, personal friend of the president and the vice president and all that. They have a right to be, but what he said is not modern politics, is not modern statecraft, but he drew crowds, and Donald Trump also does it this way. So he might think that this is going to be of use. That is it, but modern political life doesn't allow these things, doesn't allow these things in the sense that this is not modern politics. As I said, I didn't even say 18th century, it is 17th century religious revivalism, when people would be burnt at the stakes and would be killed at their homes, their houses would be burned for the religious belief. This sort of propaganda they have been doing. But anyway, I do really oppose shooting him down, and Charlie Kirk. No human being should ever be killed for a difference in opinion.
Absolutely, sir. Breaking news again come that Donald Trump has reached from Washington to New York, and his first meeting setup has been done with Argentine leaders. News is Donald Trump is stalled to meet Argentina's President Javier Milei in New York. The focus, possible US financial support. Argentina's currency has suffered after Milei's party underperformed in recent local elections. Argentina's central bank has already spent over $1.1 billion to prop up the peso. My question would be to Mr. Scott Luckman, very gentleman, very knowledgeable person. Sir, I want to ask you a question about the United Nations General Assembly this time. Most of the world leaders already has reached in New York to attain the UNGA General Assembly this time, but agendas are almost fixed. We see the big fishes are absent there. Chinese President Xi Jinping is not going. Russian President Vladimir Putin is not going. South African President Jacob Zuma is not going. Saudi Prince is not going. And also Turkey President Recep Tayyip Erdogan,
he was there.
He already reached. Polarization is not clear to the analyst. Strategists are saying that there will be something happening this time which world leaders even cannot imagine. What is your imagination? What you suspect at this time the outcome of United Nations General Assembly on the agendas, sir?
Well, today it was all about Palestine. And I suspect that's going to continue. There's 193 member states in the United Nations. 165 of them recognize Israel. And by the end of the week, there'll be at least 160 that recognize Palestine. So this is symbolic, but it's very meaningful. because as Netanyahu in a speech to his nation recently told his people that you should get ready for isolation, that we have to become a super Sparta. And so I think Israel has just gone way too far, and they, have lost favor with the entire world, with the exception of the United States. And they're losing support in the U.S. also. Among Democrats, they've lost Democrats. And except for Republican older folks who will, stick with Israel, the younger Republicans are saying, Netanyahu's no friend of the U.S. So I just, at the same time, Netanyahu, I think he realizes that Trump's the last president that he's going to have his way with, and that he needs to go from the river to the sea while Trump is president. And I see, they're making Gaza uninhabitable, and next thing would be annexing the West Bank. And so I don't know how this is going to turn out, but I don't think Netanyahu has been a friend to Israel.
All right, sir.
The other thing that's going to happen, yeah.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir.
The other thing I'd like to mention is at the end of this week, there's going to be a special session on the Rohingya. And I think the chief advisor needs to be congratulated. He invited the Secretary General to visit the refugee camps there in Bangladesh. And I think he's been able to shift this from a Bangladeshi problem to a global problem. So I look forward to the world coming together to help resolve this situation.
All right, sir. You said one thing I really appreciate, that Netanyahu does not have any friend in Israel. Actually, he's not a friend of Israel. And you raised about the Rohingya issues. Currently in the world, this is the second largest Rohingya, refugee camp is operated by Bangladesh, hosted by Bangladesh, and supported by other developed nations. I will definitely discuss these things after the break, but just United Nations newsroom is tweeting a news regarding the recognition of Palestine statehood widens. They have said the UK, Australia, Canada, France, and several other countries formally recognized a Palestine state at a summit held alongside the United Nations General Assembly. This represents a historic shift in international diplomacy, diverging from previous Western position which tried recognition to peace negotiations. One question I want to put to Norman, then I'll come to Ali Ahmed for this respond. Norman, question is, his rivalry with the medias. Recently he says he gonna cancel the media license of media houses in United States of America because that media did not praise him. That media criticized him. That media criticized his actions, his unprecedented jobs and orders he has done. Do you think it will be a good example to the whole world, that a democratic country like America, the media facing, the media license of media houses in United States of America, because that media did not praise him, that media criticized his actions, his unprecedented jobs and orders he has done? Do you think it will be a good example to the whole world that a democratic country like America, the license cancelling threats from the president, which is absolutely unprecedented, Mr. Norman?
My quick answer to that is despicable. This should never happen. It doesn't represent the people of the United States. It is one person's opinion. His feelings are hurt. He do not like people to talk badly, poorly, to criticize. He's very well. The issue is he's not accepting criticism right now. He's very sensitive to that. So he wanted to use his political power, his might, to put pressure on the business owners of these media networks to control the word. The issue is now we're looking at constitutional rights being violated, freedom of speech, and which is going to lead to a whole nother issue. The courts will probably get involved in this, but for the meantime, he do not want to hear negative press about him, and he's taking action through executive orders and other issues. Even though these issues will end up in court, right now he wants to basically control the narrative.
Mr. Norman, I really appreciate your sense and your brave on your journalism. I'm so proud that I'm in connection with you, and we have been able to get you as a geopolitical correspondent for ACTV based in Washington, D.C. I'll come back to Ali Ahmed and I'll ask him a very funny questions, but I know he is capable. He has the ability to explain it. I'll ask, Donald Trump is a leader, boss, or president? Is world ready to face this unprecedented leader for the world affairs? I apologize for a short break.
All in one. Grand Club Limited, Mirpur 10, Dhaka.
কি এমন জিনিস যেটা সব লোকে খায়? ছোটরা খেলে পরে কেঁদে মায়ের কাছে যায়, বৃদ্ধ লোক খেলে পরে মাথায় দেয় হাত, যুবক যুবতীরা খেলে পরে এদিক ওদিক তাকায়।
ছেড়ে দে শয়তান, ছেড়ে দে, দেহ পেলে আমার মন পাবি না, ছেড়ে দে।
কোন ফলের বীজ নেই বলো দেখি দাদা, বলতে না পারলে হবে তুমি গাধা।
মন্দিরা চক্রবর্তী কার সাথে প্রেম করছে?
আমি এখন মা হতে চলেছে।
চিনেছি তোমারে আকারে প্রকারে, দিনের আলো রাতের আধারে।
কোন বাসায় শুধু দুজন থাকে, দরজা জানালা ছাদ কিছুই থাকে না?
পা, পায়ের নুপুর, ছন্দ,
মনে হচ্ছে কি ছু দিয়ে জাদু মন্ত্র।
এক্স্যাক্টলি, পায়েরে নুপুর আমার।
অরিক্স স্পেশাল সেলিব্রিটি শো তারকার ঝলক দেখবেন প্রতি শুক্রবার রাত 9:30 মিনিটে।
ভালোবাসা একবার তুমি বউ কইয়া ডাকো।
হ্যাঁ গো,
আর কত দূর?
আরে আমি তো ফিডের গাড়ির লগে।
তোমার গরু হাঁস মুরগি মাছ তো অনশন শুরু কইরা দিছে।
কি কও, অনশন শুরু কইরা দিছে? কেডা? হাঁস মুরগি মাছ।
World leaders are heading to New York to join United Nations General Assembly, but news is United Nations is facing huge and major funding shortfall after the US suspended its contributions to the regular budget. Austerity measures are being discussed. This comes even as the US is signaling a more unilateral approach to foreign policy under current leadership. I will raise this question later on, but before the break I promised that I will ask a question to Ali Ahmed according to his knowledge and wisdom. My question is, you have seen so many US presidents, I believe from 75 to till date, more than 50
Even
years.
before that, from school days.
Yeah, you can. For decades you can see the presidents, but presidents should not be such unprecedented. My question was, do you think he's a leader, or he's a boss, or he's a president?
Very easy and very difficult question. Difficult because it is very difficult to answer what he is. But I would start with a jargon in the politics area, political areas. In politics, there is a very well-known thing is politician and also a statesman. Now, a politician is a person who is said to try to attain and retain power, and a statesman is supposed to try to shape the future of his country and of the world. So, Donald Trump, of course, is a politician. He has attained power. He has inflamed so many small base things in human beings in the country.
Sir, I'm apologizing to stop you here because I will come back to you again. I have time limitations with Scott Lackman and Norman, both of them. My same questions I want to put for both of you. Do you consider Donald Trump as a boss, or as a leader, or as a businessman, or as a president of United States of America? First, Scott Lackman.
What do I consider Donald Trump to be? Is that the question? I think he's a con man. I think he has his entire life. He's gone bankrupt 6 times. He's a master of PR. He inherited a lot of money, and he has made a lot of money, especially as president. The amount of corruption that's happened during this 9 months is unprecedented in my lifetime. People compare it to maybe Harding, in the 1920s. But people, there are a lot of people who are very devoted to him, and they like the fact that he appears to be tough. He has this tough act, and but thin skin, and he surrounds himself with yes men. And for a cabinet now, we've got amateur hour. He has appointed people whose main attribute is loyalty. They're not being appointed by their wisdom or their experience.
All right,
So,
sir. Your definition is very clear to our viewers and to us. You are a very humble person, but the words you have used, the examples you have used, I'll never forget. I really appreciate you, sir, for a very early morning joining. I wish to connect you again tomorrow regarding the United Nations General Assembly outcome. I appreciate you, sir. Thank you. Have a great day. I want to do the same question to Norman. Norman, you live in Washington. You have seen so many ups and downs of American federal politics. You have seen the presidencies. Can you please put your take today's show?
Yes, I'm going to be very brief. I know I have a short period of time, but basically, President Donald Trump is an entrepreneur. He's a businessman elected by the people to change the country, to improve the conditions of the country. He's also wants to be recognized as a world leader. So the things that he's doing is for profit, his benefit, and also to put himself in history as the change agent. Thank you.
Norman, thank you very much. Wish you a good day. I'll again connect you tomorrow, and please look at the United Nations General Assembly. I'll ask tomorrow about the outcome, especially Bangladesh issue, because you are very much attached with the Bangladesh. Thank you very much, Norman. I want to come
Thank
to
you.
Ali Ahmed sir again. Sir, you have heard the definition of Donald Trump's presidency from both the American very senior professionals. I want to ask you one question, that is world ready to face or to work with such an unprecedented US president who actually leads the world?
No, the world is not ready, psychologically or otherwise. But the reality is that he has been elected by a blunt electorate in his country and is an elected person. So, and America is the greatest power on earth, militarily, financially, and in so many other ways. So, the present powers of the world other than America do not dare to face him. Therefore, they try to manage him and pray for these 4 years to go somehow. That is what I watch in somebody very diplomatic prime ministers and presidents. So they are tolerating him because they cannot cause an impeachment or a removal from office. That is by the Senate, and it is a very docile Senate, very docile House of Representatives. So it's not happening either. So they have to wait till the next general election, and also there is some hope, but I am not very sure, of the midterm that is coming next year. He might be losing some seats, but that will not be able to unseat him or impeach him probably. But we have to learn to live with it, as I watch very interestingly as Europe is doing with him, very, very intelligently maneuvering him and flattering him and getting things done without doing anything bad, so that he doesn't become angry. You have seen his state visit, how the Prime Minister of UK managed him very well and kept his duty 10%, whereas others pay 25-50%. So these are also economic diplomacy.
Sir, recently in Oxford Union debate, one gentleman from Cambridge University, he is a emeritus professor of political science, he said that the world is watching a megalomaniac.
Oh, he is. We have said it long before. Megalomaniac is a person who is actually insane, a madman, but he thinks that he is the largest, the greatest, the most powerful man in the world. That is what a megalomaniac is. It is a disease, megalomania, and the person attacked by it is megalomaniac. He is, without any question, even without going to a psychiatric test, I can say he is a megalomaniac.
Do you find logic on workers? He has imposed $100,000 to go for work, employment. This is absolutely unprecedented, unacceptable and intolerable.
One thing has gone very hard and deep in his mind. The economists of the US and other areas of the country, they say that China is going to overtake America in another 5-7 years time. Some people say it might even be less than that, and that has also maddened him. He wants with his country at the top of the world. To some extent this also happened with Britain and this US. When US was rising above Britain, Britain was in the 19th century what America is today in the world,
yes,
but
sir,
not insane like him. So Britain didn't want him to go up, America. So they even thought, it came later in the press and I have personally read it, when the Civil War was going on in America in 1865, it was finished. They even decided inwardly to join the southerners of US to defeat the northern part. But they finally didn't, mercifully, and America is so big. And then again, there were a lot of problems at US is doing, but since he is a very uneducated sort of man, he is a megalomaniac, he is unpolished, he is, well, he is not presentable in a diplomatic circle, so he is doing it like that. But this is normal jealousy of the US, of China. So he will be behaving these 4 years. He will be there.
Sir, one very dangerous thing. Robert J. Brandon, he is an American journalist. He does his journalism independently. He has written in his book America in 2050. Ladies and gentlemen, very dangerous quote I am going to give from Robert J. Brandon. From his book America in 2050, he says American people will beg to the world superpower to protect them because President Trump is making America friendless. President Trump is making America businessless. I'll be coming back after a short commercial break, and I'll have so many tough questions to Ali Ahmed.
হ্যাঁ গো, এসে ফিটের খবর ওরা জানলো কেমনে?
আরে ভালো জিনিসের খবর ছড়াতে কি আর মাইক লাগে? খবর ভাসে বাতাসে বাতাসে।
আরে দেখো, এসে ফিটের জাদু।
সম্পূর্ণ নিজস্ব তত্ত্বাবধানে বিশেষজ্ঞদের সমন্বয়ে প্রস্তুত হয় এসে ফিডের পশু খাদ্য। অত্যাধুনিক প্রযুক্তিতে তৈরি এই পশু খাদ্য যেমন নিরাপদ তেমনি স্বাস্থ্যকর। এসে ফিড, নিরাপদ ফিড, স্বাস্থ্যকর প্রোটিন। এসে অ্যাগ্রোফিডস লিমিটেড একটি এসে গ্রুপ অফ কোম্পানিজের প্রতিষ্ঠান।
Grand Palace, 5-star chain hotel, Zinda Bazar, Sylhet. Local and international cuisines. Exclusive banquet hall for all events. 5-star luxurious rooms and suites with bulletproof glass. Fiberglass swimming pool. Relaxing spa. Well-equipped gym. Experience panoramic beauty at City View Restaurant.
Journalists should not admire the government's action. Journalists should put the constructive criticism of the governments which helps to the governments to get the right decision. And in 21st century, I don't know why government feels journalists are their rival and journalists are scared. Journalism is a very risky profession around the globe. I said I will ask some tough questions to Mr. Ali Ahmed. He smiled. But whenever we find some ministers or MPs or secretaries beside us, they don't like these questions. But as you serve, you have to respond to the people because journalists represents the mass people. Sir, I want to talk about the Rohingya problem, Rohingya repatriation. What are we doing and what should we do? Should we put it into a high priority concentration because Bangladesh is not able to host 2 million Rohingyas?
No.
Your take, sir.
Rohingya, when they came, first of all, the border guards, at that time it was, they were called, they stopped it. But then the government in Bangladesh, whichever government, said they let them come in. In fact, the international refugee and Rohingya thing is that whenever people from another countries tortured and otherwise feel it's impossible, when they want to come, you have to allow them. That is we are a signatory to that. So that was right. But then immediately the international community of the UN has a responsibility to solve the problem and to send them back home. But it's not always that easy. They have been trying and they have been also giving donations and other things. But over the years, the donations are drying up. USA has drastically cut it now. It is becoming a serious problem. It would be impossible for Bangladesh, not impossible, really very, very, very difficult to feed them in addition its own problems in the country. So something should be done and Bangladesh has been trying. Incidentally, even the UN Secretary General came to Dhaka, to Bangladesh and Cox's Bazar and all that. These have borne some fruits. This time, today is the second day of the UN General Assembly session. This time there is going to be a session, special session on Rohingya issues, and this is on the agenda of the UN. So it is expected that they will review their places to support them and also give some concrete steps as to how they can be sent. I don't know this Arakan area, which is now the Rakhine state has been taken over by the Rakhine army. It's no longer with the military junta there. So I don't know what sort of things are going on there, but they should be not pushed back, I should say sent back to their own country, which is now lying barren. And the Arakan army should be asked very sternly that even though they are not these Rohingya people, it is their country also. And this whole Arakan state, it was a kingdom. It was a part of the subcontinent, and it was basically a Muslim state, and most of the peoples are of this stock. So it is their land. They should not be in any case kept out. I think the world will understand and do something. Let us see what happens in tomorrow's meeting.
Sir, I am going to tell you something which is very dangerous for me as a journalist, because it is a leak report by WikiLeaks in 2022, and it is a CIA facts finding report. A report is about Rohingyas. They said Rohingyas might be the repetition of 1947. Let me explain. I have gone through it. In 1947, when the Second World War ended, British Prime Minister Winston Churchill made a decision with Roosevelt of US President, who was US President for 3 times due to the war. He said, let us assemble all the Jewish people, put them on the ship, let them bring to the West Bank or current Palestine, and after 90 years they became the threat of the Middle East, they became the threat of the world. They are controlling the world economy, world business, world healthcare, everything. They are so powerful that in 1 month they have attacked 7 Arabian countries, but Arabian countries are silent. According to editorial policy, they could not mention might be the repetition of Israel. They said might be the repetition of 1947. Don't you think entire Bangladesh should focus on it? The government should focus on it, foreign ministry should focus on it, our military guards should focus on it, because we have to resolve this problem. Otherwise, this editorial might be true one day, that it is a repetition of 1947. I mean, Rohingya is going to be the Israel of South Asia, sir.
Well, not unlikely. There was quite a few months ago, after the coming of this caretaker government, there was a move that there would be a human corridor. That means the Americans would be able to come and go there, and they will be managing there. But there was a popular opposition to this in this country, strengthened by the army opposition, so that human corridor could not be made that way. But nowadays talks are around that there are American landing of American troops and all those things. At that time I made a post in the Facebook. I said, well, whatever the government does may do, but they must be doing in consultation with the government, and only if the people agree they can they do it. And then someone telephoned me and said, would you, sir, kindly give me your mobile email number? I gave it, but nobody ever sent me an email. So there is something going on. I should not say this public domain this way, but I have a suspicion that something is going on. So the people should also understand, and we ask the government to make things very clear what is happening on the eastern side of Bangladesh, in the Arakan area.
Do you think every single citizen of this country should be in one opinion that we need to repatriate Rohingyas?
Yes, of course.
Sir, as a journalist, I visited in 2002 when 4-party alliance under the leadership of Begum Khaleda Zia was in power. Indian government, I mean Atal Bihari Vajpayee and L.K. Advani government started to push back Bangladeshi people or Indian citizens to Bangladesh. I have had the opportunity to go to New Delhi and to interview Atal Bihari Vajpayee, Lal Krishna Advani and General Yashwant Sinha regarding Bangladesh. At the same time, when I was in Delhi, I found a statement in Hindustan Times by the Congress leader Sonia Gandhi. She says, if something internal India, I will oppose the decision of BJP government, but if something against India, I mean external affairs, my position will be with the Vajpayee government. They are so united. We are not. Well, what is your comment and what is your advice to the political parties of Bangladesh? Because we need to be united regarding the sovereignty of this country, integrity of this country, and of course the development.
It is a very dangerous minefield you have thrown me into, because if I say a few words in praise, some will call me a dalal, and if I say against, they will call me an anti-Bangladeshi fan. It's very difficult, but the thing is you have to look at the background of political people. In the entire subcontinent, Bangladesh area now, the East Bengal was the most undeveloped, uneducated and all that. Suddenly we got in 1947 a country called Pakistan, for which we also voted. When it came to power, Bangladesh was curtailed from the rest of Bengal and we were given this undeveloped marshy area. We had some educated people, but not much politically trained. So from that first day of 1947, it started scheming from Pakistan, that is West Pakistan, and we have always been victim. So after we became Bangladesh, unfortunately we didn't have any time to have political training, political acumen and all that. So our politicians in general, there are of course honorable exceptions, but in general our politicians are not dedicated, not experienced, not, I again say with honorable exceptions, are not experienced, are not educated, have no idea of statecraft, even idea of how the constitution. Nowadays I say this bicameral legislature, this upper house, some of them do not know. Somebody was telling that PR, proportional representation, they said 90% of the people do not understand what PR is and they are asking for it. So our problem is the politicians in general are not educated enough, and whatever education is there, most of them, if not all, are trying to fill their own pockets, not the country. So that is our problem.
Sir, I said before the break that I will put some tough questions to Ali Ahmed. As you are a humble person by nature, you have answered all these questions. I just want to do my last question to you. You see in Manila, you see in Philippines, the Bangladesh style protests are going on by Gen Zs and the parents are attending. What do you think, sir? Why Gen Zs are becoming so much focused against corruption, against polarization, against nepotism, and Gen Z's voice are so loud and clear that governments, militaries, police are not capable to face them?
Yeah. They have broken lot of properties, caused harm to the country and lot of destruction. So that is not good, but I welcome these protests. This is because when any government or statecraft fails to match with the desire of the people, there is revolution. That happened way back in 1789 in France, the French Revolution, because the people went ahead of the monarchy at the time. That happened in 47 because it was not there, so Pakistan came into being. It happened in 52, the language movement. This happens in 54, the election. This happened in 69 against Ayub Khan. This against in Irshad and all those things. So this is happening not only in this country, in nearby Nepal, in Philippines, in all those countries. So it is time that the people who are occupying the chairs of rulers must be servers of the people and must understand people's desire, and please really allow democracy and ensure people's rights and stop corruption. That is the greatest
Very
problem.
loud and clear, ladies and gentlemen. We are running out of time, but before I conclude the show, I want to say happy birthday to one lady who has a lot of contribution in British democracy. She has written 13 books. She's an academician, she's an English lawyer, she visited Bangladesh many times. She's a good friend of Bangladeshi people, and sometimes she goes to Brick Lane Bangladeshi restaurants to go for family dine. I'm talking about Cherry Blair. She is the wife of Tony Blair, former British Prime Minister. I had the opportunity to interview her in UK one time, and I have had the opportunity to read her almost 5 books. I really appreciate this lady. Today is her birthday. From International Affairs Show of Satv, we want to say happy birthday, Madam Cherry Blair. Your Excellency, have a nice health.